then we simply disappear.
Bro, come on and scream! With all the fire in your soul!
Essentially here, and today I have another deck profile for you. I've talked to a lot of my friends. They said they wanted to see another deck profile, so here we go. Today I'm bringing you a DDD deck profile, or DD, however you want to fucking say it. Now I haven't had a lot of time to read over these cards, so I might get their effects a little mixed up and have to read them from time to time, or a lot. So without further ado, let's get started. So for your first card, we're running 2 DD Lamia. Now, her effect, you can, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send a DD or Dark Contract card from your hand or face up from your side of the field to the grave. Special this card, but it's banished when it leaves the field. And it's really good because it's one of your few tuners that you have in the deck, so this is going to be the main card you're going to pull out for synchro summoning and a lot of stuff. It is level 1, which makes it, the play is kind of tricky. You're going to be using a lot of fusions to synchro summon. So 2 DD Lamia. Next one we have 3 DD Necroslime. It is physically impossible to run a DDD deck without DD Necroslime. The reason why, this is going to be the main card used to fusion summon. Now you can fusion summon using this card and cards from your graveyard, banish them to fusion summon 1 DDD monster, or DD? Yeah, 1 DDD monster from your extra deck, which is really good. You can only use this effect once per turn, but you know, once you have that fusion on the field, the fusion's going to be worth it. Next we have on the list is 3 DD Swirl Slime. Swirl Slime is like the same as Necro Slime, except instead of, you know, banishing it from the graveyard to fusion summon, you fusion summon with the cards in your hand. And it also has another effect. I think it's, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 DD monster from your hand, which is really good. It's also level 2. Necro Slime was a level 1. Next we have 2 DD Ghost. The reason I only run 2, I was thinking about just running 1, but then I realized I don't have enough cards here, so I need to run 2. DD Ghost is like kind of a search, but you search for a card. Okay, so what it does, if it's sent to the grave, you can target 1 DD monster or Dark Contract card in your graveyard, except Ghost. Send 1 card from your deck to the grave with the same name. And if this card is ever banished, you can target one of your banished DD Monster or Dark Contract cards, except DD Ghost, and return it to the grave. So it's like, you know, send this to the grave, send target a Necro in your grave, send another Necro Slime, that way you have an extra fusion, okay? Another fusion summon ready up. And then say if it's banished, let's say you banish it with Necro Slime's effect. Now you can return Necro Slime back to the grave. There you go. So 2 DD Ghost. Next we have 1 DDD Dragon King Pendragon. Basically the only reason I want it, run it in this deck is because it's probably one of my favorite DDD monsters. It just looks cool as fuck. That's the only reason why I run it, I'm going to be honest with you. Now we're going on to the Pendulums. So in this deck we run 3 DD Savant Kepler. Now Kepler is also a search. No wait, hold up. Yeah, it's a search for Dark Contract, but it also, whenever it's normal summoned or special summoned, you can target one other DD card you control, return it to the hand. So say if you have Swirl Slime on the field, right? And you can normal summon this card, bounce Swirl Slime back to the hand, fusion summon. Or you can add 1 Dark Contract card from your deck to your hand, which is really good. It's what you want. Next we have 2 DD Savant Copernicus. Now I might get these names wrong because I don't really know how to pronounce a lot of things. It's almost special, and you can send DD or Dark Contract card from your deck to the grave, except Copernicus, which is That's its only effect besides the pendulum effect, which the pendulum effects in this deck doesn't really matter all that much. Now, that's really good because, once again, you can send Swirl Slime from your deck to your grave, or say if you need a Dark Contract card in your graveyard, then you can normal or special summon Copernicus, bounce it to the grave. Really good play. Then we have 3. Oh, whoopsies. DDD, Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. Run 3 of them. Just because, you know, if it's normal special, you can target one DDD monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and then that gives you a quick, you know, level 8 overlay. But we don't, in my variant, we don't run Dualdon King Kali Yuga, so we won't overlay with him as much. He's mostly there just for a beat stick. And you can also, once per turn, tribute one other DD monster, then target one monster your opponent controls and banish it, which is also a really good effect. So it's kind of like that safe zone, you know. Oh, we can't be destroyed by card effects. Well, how about I banish it instead? Next, we run 2 DDD Chaos King Apocalypse. Now, the reason why I'll run DDD Chaos King Apocalypse is because during either player's turn, during your opponent's turn, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target 2 face-up spell or trap cards you control. For the rest of the turn, you can't splash some monsters. That's not a big deal. Well, except Fiends. And then also destroy those cards, and if you do, splash on this card. And it's a quick effect. So if you have 2 Dark Contracts on the field, and if you guys don't know, Dark Contract cards make you take damage every standby phase. So during your opponent's end phase, you can be like, oh no, Chaos King, summon it to the field, destroy your Dark Contract, so that way you won't take the damage next turn, which is really good. Next, 1 DD Orthros. I don't really use him a lot. Oh, when you take battle or effect damage, you can splash summon this card from your hand, and if this card is splash summoned to your field, you cannot splash summon for the rest of their turn except for Fiend types, which that's fine because this entire deck is pretty much Fiend except like 1 card. Next, DD Savant Thomas. I only run 1 Thomas just because I needed stuff, more DD and DDD stuff to fill the deck. But you can target 1 DD card in your Pendulum Summon, destroy that card, and if you do, splash summon 1 level 8 DDD monster from your deck and defense. But for the rest of the turn, its effects, if any, are negated, and any battle damage your opponent takes becomes halved. So, 1 Savant Thomas, 1 DDD Rebel King Leonardus. I don't really use Leonardus that much. I usually immediately focus on fusions and synchros. So, but whenever you take effect damage step during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you gain life points equal to the damage you took. It's really good. I should run 3 of them. Why don't I do that? I don't know. Next, moving on to the trap cards, we run 2 DD Recruits. DD Recruits, what it does is, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, target any number of DD monsters and or Dark Contract cards in your graveyard. Up to the difference, add those cards to your hand. Self-explanatory, it's really good. Next, we run 3 DDD Human Resource. Now, this card is pretty much a search card. So what it does is you can shuffle 3 cards from your graveyard into your deck. Any combination of DD or Dark Contract, any combination of DD monsters from your hand, field, or grave, and or DD cards in your pendulum zones, and then add 2 DD monsters from your deck to your hand. So if you need something in your grave, you can add those targets to the hand, search them out, which is really good. Next, we run 1 Dark Contract with the Witch. You can send 1 DD or Dark Contract card from your hand to the grave. Target 1 card on the field, destroy it. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. All Fiend type monsters you control gain 1,000 during your opponent's turn only, and during your standby phase, take 1,000. Next, we run 2 Sinister Yoshiro. Now, this card is probably one of the few non-DD cards, but it pretty much lets you get a free normal summon for level 5 or higher Fiend type. Yeah. Each turn, 1 level 5 or higher Fiend type monster you normal summon can be normal summoned without tributing. If exactly 1 normal summon monster level 5 or higher Fiend type monster and no other cards would be destroyed, you can send this card to the grave instead. Moving on to the spells, we run 3 Dark Contract with the Gate. Now this is going to be your search card. This is going to search out all your DD monsters. So once during your main phase, or during your main phase, you can add 1 DD monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use that effect once per turn, and during your standby phase, take 1,000. Next, we run 1 Dark Contract with the Swamp King. Now this is like kind of a polymer. It acts as a polymerization, but it's still face up on the field. So what it does is during your main phase, fusion summon 1 fiend type monster with monster you control or from your hand, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Yeah, using monsters from your hand or field fusion materials. If summoning a DD fusion monster this way, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard, and during your standby phase, take 1,000. Next, we run 1 Forbidden Dark Contract with the Swamp King. What this does is, once per turn, you can special summon 1 DDD monster from your hand and defense, but its effects are negated. Once per turn, you can fusion summon 1 Fiend type fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials, including a monster special summoned by the above effect. And during your standby phase, take 1,000. Next, we run 1 Foolish Burial, self-explanatory. Send 1 monster from your deck to the grave. 1 Dark Eruption. Target 1 dark monster with 1500 or less attack. Add it back to your hand. It has to be from grave though. 1 for 1. Self-explanatory. Send a monster from your hand to the grave. Special summon 1 level 1 from your deck. Swords of Revealing Light. And 1 Sukuma Slash. If a monster you control attacks a monster with higher attack, then self-generate damage calculation, your monster gains attack equal to the difference in your life points and your opponent's. So, with that being said, now let's move on to the extra deck, shall we? So we run 1 DDD Flame King Genghis. If another DD monster is special summoned to your field while you control this face-up card, except during the damage step, you can target 1 DD monster in your grave, special summon it, and you can only activate the effect of DD of him once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 Dark Contract card in your grave and add it to your hand. Next, we run 3 DDD Oracle King Dark. Whenever you take effect damage, instead of taking the effect damage, you actually gain it instead. So let's say I summon Magical Cylinders to me for 28. Instead of taking the 28, I gain the 28. We run 2 DDD Dragonbane King Beowulf. If a DD monster you control attacks defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent, and once per turn during the standby phase, you can control all spell or trap cards in the spell and trap zones. Or actually, all cards in the spell and trap zones. My bad. Next, we run 1 DDD Wave of Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok. Once per turn, when this card attacks, or when an attack is declared involved in this card, you can target 1 other DD or Dark Contract card you control, return it to the hand, and if you do, equip 1 face-up monster your opponent controls to this card except the monster you're attacking. This card gains attack equal to their combined original attacks. Next up, we have the Synchros. So we run 3 DDD Gust King Alexander. Alexander, I don't really use his effect. I usually use him to overlay, or not overlay, to synchro into Siegfried or Scarlight. But if another DD monster is normal or special summoned to your field while you control this face-up card except during the damage step, you can target 1 level 4 or lower DD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only get his effect once per turn. But we run 3 of those. We run 2 DDD Cursed King Siegfried. Once again, don't use this effect that much. During all opponent's turn, you can target 1 face-up spell trap card on the field. That target has its effects negated until the next standby phase. You can only use the effect of DDD Cursed King Siegfried once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the grave, Gain 1,000 life points for each Dark Contract card you control. Okay. Next, we have Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. I know what you're saying, probably. Well, this is a DD deck. Why is a Red Dragon Archfiend card in here? Well, it just runs with the deck. It helps with the consistency of the deck, especially if it's the only card on your field. Its effect really helps. Which, once per turn, you can destroy as many special summon effect monsters on the field as possible with attack less than or equal to these cards. Other than this card, then inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. Next, we have the Xyz monsters. DDD, Wave King Caesar. During all player's turn, you can detach one Xyz field from this card. At the end of the battle facing special from your graveyard, as many monsters destroyed this turn as possible, but during the next standby phase, take 1,000 damage for each monster special summoned by this effect. If this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can add a Dark Contract card from your deck to your hand. And then we have one more Xyz monster. DDD Marksman King Tell. Now, the way you pull out King Tell is you overlay for Caesar, and then overlay over Caesar with King Tell because his effect allows you to. Which is, he's also really good. Blah blah blah. During our player's turn, once if you took any effect damage this turn, you can detach one Xyz field from this card, target one phase up monster on the field. It loses 1,000 attack defense, and if it does, inflict 1,000 to your opponent. And if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your deck to the grave. Pretty simple.